Welcome back to Cruise1st TV, and it's the turn of Norwegian cruise line offers in this show, and they're very popular Norwegian Spirit, who is cruising around Asia for late next year. And we've got some of the hottest deals that you can book today with just a low deposit.
Yeah, we have. So we've got 3 feature offers, a 3-week Taipei, Vietnam and Thailand adventure for next November, and another 25-night dream getaway to Bali in Australia just before Christmas next year.
Oh, did someone say Christmas? I thought that was a banned word for now.
Right.
Anyway, well, it's good to plan being away at Christmas at least, isn't it? All of these offers have the Cruise1st twist with stays, flights and the cruise included with free at sea as part of the offer. So that's premium drinks, shore excursion credits, some Wi-Fi and a couple of nights enjoying the specialty restaurants while you cruise. All have low deposits too, so let's get started on a Japan adventure over 14 nights, starting on the 1st of October next year, where we'll fly you off to Tokyo. It has to be Tokyo, doesn't it? We're there for a 3-night hotel stay. It's like the world is going to Tokyo right now, isn't it?
Everybody wants to visit Japan or is visiting Japan. Apparently I'm dressed accordingly in my kimono today, so that's good. Authentic. Now, well, maybe actually when you're there, you want to go and see an authentic tea ceremony. That's really entertaining. And of course, just seeing the geishas serving it to you in that traditional way. Just one of the many things you can do while you're in Tokyo. Of course, go to the Shibuya crossing where you can see up to 3,000 people crossing the road at any one time. There is the amazing bullet train. Again, it must be experienced, I hear. And just so many lovely little nooks and crannies around Tokyo as you're wandering from district to district. I always think that's the best way to explore a city that you haven't been to before, is by just, taking to the streets and finding little kind of off the beaten track bolt holes that will, entice you and
wander
just allow
and discover.
Wander and discover, absolutely. And then it's time to join the all-renewed Norwegian Spirit. She puts the spirit in Norwegian, she really does, for 14 nights. Lovely ship, a really beloved member of the Norwegian fleet as well. I've been on board Spirit, had a whale of a time, I have to say. It was a really fun ship. The nice thing about this size of Norwegian vessel as well is it's not one of the giant mega ships. So you've got around 3,000 passengers or so. So it's going to be easy to find your way around from, area to area on the ship to get to know people while you're on board as well. To book into your favourite restaurants without having to wonder, oh, hang on, there's 20, 30 of them. No, you don't have to wonder because there's a manageable amount. When it comes to pampering, don't forget the spa. The Mentara Spa is incredible and it's just been redeveloped as well. Whether you book in sort of a thermal suite package and get to enjoy the sauna, the hot room or a massage, you're going to love it. So cruising out of the port for Tokyo, we're heading into Shimizu as our first port. This is the port for Mount Fuji actually. So why not take an excursion that takes you all the way up to the summit or close to the summit of Mount Fuji, or head on over to the castle park whilst you're there. Then next port is Kobe. Of course, it's world famous for its beef, but you've got lots of other things to see, such as the Sake Brewery Museum. There's Mount Roko as well. There's the Nijo Castle, and of course these amazing castles in Japan are a sight to see. Nagoya is next. Again, a world-famous castle awaits you. But if it's more sort of strolling and shopping that you want to do whilst you're there, don't forget you can see some great markets whilst you're in Japan. Maybe do an excursion tailored to that. Hakodate awaits us next, one of the main cities on Hokkaido, Japanese northernmost island. Looming over the town is the 334-metre high Mount Hakodate, an imposing sight to see these beautiful manicured gardens. Of course, Atoru is next. And a really atmospheric port town with a romantic canal is what this is described as. It's known for its lovely fresh seafood and its amazing hot springs. And actually, Japan is known for its hot springs. It's very geothermal. Next up, we're into Niigata, which has an amazing history museum. You've got the customs house there to visit as well, which is a historical building. But I think just strolling around these beautiful gardens and seeing the effortlessly manicured gardens. And Kanazawa is next on the list for us to visit on this itinerary, and it's the capital of Ishikawa Prefecture on Honshu Island. Very beautiful indeed. Lots of regional handicrafts there. Hiroshima next. Best things to see here are the Shikoen Garden and the Peace Memorial Park and Atomic Bomb Dome. And of course, that's something you can go and pay your respects whilst you're visiting this port of call and strolling from district to district. Nagasaki is next, and it's also got a lovely Peace Memorial Park. But you might want to head on over to the beautiful, well-preserved 16th century castle whilst you're there and take some amazing pictures. We're into South Korea next. Jeju awaits us. I mean, just look at all the natural beauty. You wouldn't necessarily think of waterfalls and lush greenery in Korea, but that is what it's all about. Get out and about, maybe do a tour whilst you're there that will take you around. Then we have an overnight in the capital of South Korea, Seoul, and this is going to be the big one on the itinerary to visit for sure. Now, whilst you're there, you can step back in time and enjoy the palace, taste the street food at Gwangang markets, world famous, or stroll around the Cheonggai stream whilst you're there. Now, after your overnight on board, we're going to fly you back to the UK, and you really will go home with not just memories, but true experiences, feeling like you're not just cruising to these destinations, but actually traveling, because how many people can say they've been to Japan and South Korea? It's amazing.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? I mean, you know, in yesteryear, if you were planning a trip to Japan, it would be such an epic endeavour that you'd be going to one place, right? You'd be going to one place for 4 or 5 nights or a week or whatever, and it might well be Tokyo or Osaka or one of the, you know, the big cities. And that's it. You go and see one place, you go and look around it, and then you come back. These cruise itineraries are massively, massively popular. Japan and South Korea, they're quite nice sort of partner places as well. You know, we do springtime packages where you see all the blossoms or whatever, and conversely at the other end of the year as well, where you get the most incredible scenery. But you get to visit many parts of the islands that make up Japan, because Japan isn't one singular thing, it's many different areas, all very, very distinctive as well. So if you fancy this, October next year, low deposits today, just £199 each. That will include your flight out to Tokyo, a 3-night hotel stay there, which is going to be the most incredible adventure. Then you've got your 14-night cruise on Norwegian Spirit around Japan, ending in the port for Seoul in South Korea for an overnight on board there, and then your flight back from Seoul to the UK. The cruise includes premium drinks, 2 nights of speciality dining, shore excursion credits, and a Wi-Fi package as well. And gosh, how we've managed to keep it around this kind of price tag befuddles me, because the price of everything in the world, you know, has shot up dramatically, as we all know, including our holidays. And actually, that should be a lot higher, and that could be a lot higher very, very easily indeed. It's the relationship we have, of course, with Norwegian Cruise Lines, with the airlines, with the hotels around the world as well, that mean that we can keep a price this low. Let's have a look at upgrades for the cruise then. Of course, that's the lion's share of this holiday. That's 14 of your 19 nights on this particular holiday. Amazing there. Great for ocean view, great for balcony as well. But overall, that's a superb price. Bear in mind, we are talking at the back end of next year. So we've got, you know, plenty of time to look forward to this as well. And I think that's the great thing. Deposit today of just £199 each. You've got that budgeting time, you've got that preparation time, you've got that, you know, research time if you want it as well, which is really, really good. 0800 953 4700. Any questions on that one? Now, before we move on, I want to explain Free at Sea, because we've factored it into all of the offers in this show, and it's basically your opportunity to upgrade to include extra perks. So we've kind of taken the liberty of factoring that in, because if we hadn't, you would have anyway. It just gives you a more realistic price for the holiday. And that includes your premium drinks. And that really is you know, it's the brands that you recognize behind the bar as well. It's not just there's a gin, there's a vodka with a, you know, a label on it. It's brands that you recognize. On the length of cruises we've got in this show as well, we've got 2 nights of speciality dining. Now, the speciality dining restaurants on board are amazing with Norwegian. They're not a huge cover charge anyway, but with our deal with Free at Sea, 2 nights covered in all the itineraries in this show. Wi-Fi package, always good to have. Keep in touch, you know, post updates, check the WhatsApp, all of that kind of stuff. And we also have shore excursion credits included, which means that basically every day you've got $50 of shore excursion credit for every port that you go to. And it means that you can have a look through the excursion lists and you can know that whichever one you choose, you can knock $50 off the total straight away on that day as part of your Free at Sea, which is absolutely brilliant. The value in that is pretty awesome.
Next, a package over 3 weeks that crams in so many dream destinations all in one. And a fantastic all-inclusive cruise on the Norwegian Spirit. Now let's start the 3-week adventure by first flying on the 14th of November next year to Taipei in Taiwan for a 2-night hotel stay. This is a really unusual place to see as a stopover. We don't see Taipei very often, and I've been hearing more and more things about how wonderful Taipei is. It is also something that I think that's so far removed from anywhere we've probably experienced if we haven't travelled to the east. Think about it, you know, many of us do tend to head over to sort of maybe those tried and tested safe destinations that we're used to year on, year out. But when we want to go further afield, it might be that we head over to sort of a Tokyo or Singapore. But Taipei has got that real authentic Eastern flair, and you're just going to love everything it has to offer. Really interesting port. You know, you've got centuries and centuries of history to explore whilst you're there, and you also have one of the world's most important commercial centres. So there's a real hubbub about Taipei. Great shopping whilst you're over there as well, of course. We all know that, you know, some really, really good things are made over in Taiwan. Now, when you're exploring and enjoying, you're getting yourself ready for this fantastic cruise on the Norwegian Spirit. You're going to be on board for 15 nights, fabulous, enjoying the East, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Vietnam, Thailand, amazing. Now, the best of Norwegian, they've just said they're harmonised. It really does feel like that, because when they upgrade a ship, it's not just about tidying things up. It's about, you know, reimagining. Some of these spaces have been completely reimagined, including the staterooms. A lot of them redesigned, in fact, and they tend to add on more staterooms and things when they're doing this too. You know, the restaurants would have been given a makeover. So maybe you've been on the Spirit in the past, you probably won't recognise her for all the right reasons. Now, lots of lovely bars and restaurants to enjoy around the ship. With you being all-inclusive, there's so much packed into your fare. We'll go through that a little bit later on, but there's very little for you to worry about other than sitting back, relaxing and enjoying yourself. So let's see where we're off to. We're cruising out of Taipei, and the first port we're heading into is going to be Kaohsiung in Taiwan, known as Taiwan's maritime capital. Now, right here, you've got the famous Love River. That has to be seen. Or maybe you want to head over to the EDA theme park. Again, that's a famous place to visit in this port. Hong Kong, China is next. My goodness, where do we even start here? Well, maybe you want to take a little trip on Star Ferry over to Victoria Peak and ride the funicular up to the top for sweeping views over gorgeous Hong Kong, and do a bit of shopping there while you're there as well. Then we're into Hanoi in fabulous Vietnam. Now, some things to see here include the One Pillar Pagoda and the famous Halong Bay. And just take some pictures while you're strolling around the city. A city tour or hop on, hop off bus would be good. Then it's Nha Trang. Nha Trang's really interesting, actually, and whilst you're there in Nha Trang, you can visit the Po Nagar or perhaps the Long Song Pagoda. Vinpearl Land is also a really fun theme park in Nha Trang to visit, and Ho Chi Minh awaits us next. Now, this was once known as Saigon, so it has got the famous Cu Chi tunnels which are underneath the city, or you might want to head out on a Mekong Delta tour and explore the jungle by boat. That's a very cool thing to do as well. Remember, you've got $50 towards your shore excursions per port per cabin. Next up, we are into fabulous Cambodia, into Sihanoukville, and this is the Seoul Deepwater Port. Was developed in the 60s in Cambodia. Things to do and see here include the famous Sa Lu Market. Then we have an overnight in the capital of Thailand, Bangkok. Brilliant. You need an overnight here because it is bustling and exciting. And actually, the city really comes to life at night. I love Thailand. I was over there just a couple of months ago. I have to say, I really enjoyed the night markets, and the temples are gorgeous as well. Then we're into the relaxed archipelago of Thailand, Koh Samui. Now, one of my favourite things to do would be the Ang Thong Marine Reserve. You can take a full day excursion out there and do some snorkeling or sea kayaking. There's also the elephant sanctuary. Then we're going to disembark in Singapore, and we have a 2-night hotel stay. Now, I love that this is the place that your trip comes to a climax, because it does feel there's a real familiarity to Singapore. It doesn't necessarily feel like we're anywhere that is completely removed from what we're used to. You know, it's very luxurious, it's very opulent, it's very well kept, but there's also the feeling of being in the East, the feeling of being somewhere exotic because of the beautiful, warm, tropical temperatures and the really amazing tropical plants you'll get to see. But, you know, you've got to have that cocktail in Raffles Hotel when you're in Singapore, haven't you? For sure.
Oh, for
it's
sure.
A must.
It's got to be done. Do you know what? I was just thinking about this whole holiday, and I'm just thinking back to all the people that I've met over the years that have done a cruise like this, and just trying to kind of talk to you if you've been looking east and looking at this part of the world, but you haven't yet got round to doing it. I have to say, I've had some of the most fascinating conversations with people when they've come back from this type of holiday, and they said, you know what, in the back of their mind was sitting a thought that they wouldn't really like this part of the world, that it wasn't really going to be for them. There was one port or one place in particular that they were really looking forward to, and they didn't really know a lot about, you know, a lot of the destinations they were going to. But you know what? Every one of those couples came back, or families came back, and said, you know what, I'm so glad I've seen it, because you know, sometimes you've got to see a place with your own eyes. You've got to meet the people there. You've got to you dine in the restaurants in these places. You've got to kind of live as the locals do and get a real flavour for a place to appreciate it. And a lot of the people that have been on one of these cruises would say, you know what, I'd go back in a heartbeat. And they do. They then make that part of their cruising rhythm, if you like, rather than just going, okay, Med Caribbean, Med Caribbean,
yes.
Med Caribbean. You know, actually it breaks you out of your comfort zone in terms of your cruising experiences as well. I think sometimes something lurks in the back of our minds that we kind of think, okay, well, it's not talked about as always being sunny, therefore it's not on my horizon. You really should give it a try. Anyway, listen, November next year, very different itinerary as well, as we always expect with Norwegian. So we fly out to Taipei in Taiwan first for a 2-night hotel stay there before we join the Norwegian Spirit there. 15 nights, all inclusive, cruising around to Hong Kong, Vietnam and Thailand, including the overnight in Bangkok. End the cruise in Singapore, stay there for 2 nights in a hotel, and then fly back to the UK. We've made all the arrangements, we've booked all the tickets. All you need to do is give us £199 each today as your deposit, and we'll get it all cemented for you at this price here. And this is amazing. This is what, the back end of next year, isn't it? So this is taking you from November, just nipping into December as well, isn't it? At 3,199. Again, deposit today, £199 each, and then you've got lots of budgeting time, lots of anticipation time, and actually time to sort of educate yourself a little bit more about those places that you're going to. But listen, you might be the kind of person that literally throws on a backpack and says, right, let's go wander, let's go that way and see what we find. It's amazing to do. Let's have a look at the details to upgrade then on the cruise. So if you want to go up from inside to ocean view to balcony, the prices are there for you. It's an amazing holiday. We talk about this part of the world an awful lot, and actually there's so many people that still haven't been there, still haven't seen it, still haven't enjoyed the wonders of the East, and they are many and plenty as well. And of course the East is a gateway to even further as well. So if you want to use this kind of experience as a halfway house to then having an Australian adventure, or, you know, going even further, absolutely talk to the team and make it happen. Sky's the limit, as they say. 0800 953 4700 is the telephone number to call. Remember, our team are here to talk to 7 days a week. Life is an adventure, isn't it?
It is, and you mentioned Australia there. Well, actually, our next brilliant adventure does take us down under. Our final offer is a great pre-Christmas trip for the end of next November. Now we're sailing Indonesia, Bali and Australia on this, and we're back on Christmas Eve. So the 29th of November next year, we'll fly first over to Singapore for a 2-night hotel stay.
Here we are again in Singapore.
A signature part of the East, it definitely is. And it's where East meets West. I always feel like that about Singapore. And many people might have experienced it on a stopover. Maybe you've been over to visit relatives in Australia or New Zealand before. But it's actually nice to have a full 2 days just yourself, you know, where you're not actually thinking about a connecting flight because you're going to be going on a cruise. So whether it's just grabbing the cable car and enjoying sweeping views over the bay, or getting out there and exploring everything Singapore has to offer, there's no real wrong way to experience it. And you know, just strolling around from area to area will allow you to drink in the real feels and flavour of this incredible garden city.
It looks so lovely, doesn't it?
It is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Then it's time to cruise. Yep, we're on the Spirit and we're all inclusive. We've got 19 nights at sea. Fantastic. That's a brilliant amount of time actually, isn't it? Yeah, just coming up to 3 weeks at sea, and you have all of your drinks included. You have $50 per cabin shore excursions, but you know, credit as well. You'll have 2 specialty dining nights included in that as well, and your Wi-Fi. So there's just tons and tons packed in to your cruise fare already. Very little to worry about, and definitely more to spend your time on relaxing and just thinking about what you're going to plan to do each day and each night.
And how beautiful is the ship? I mean, everywhere you look around this ship is just smart, bright, beautiful, yet calm and relaxed as well. Talking about relaxing, when they did the reimagining of the ship, which is only back in 2020, so it's still, you know, kind of still brand spanking new, really, in terms of that revival there. They doubled the size of the spa. Oh, here's where we're cruising to.
Yeah, we're off to Surabaya first, which is, well, it's a fabulous part of Indonesia on the island of Java, known for the goldsmithing. Now, whilst you're there, you might want to visit Surabaya's heritage, do a little tour of that. We're on to Bali next, and Bali, of course, is known as the island of the gods. Now, some great things to do there include the Uluwatu temple, the paddy fields, and also the monkey forest. And why not do a tour that takes you to all 3? Speak to your team on board. Remember, you got the credit there. Fremantle in Oz is next, and we're over in Perth here on the west coast, which was the entry point for many travellers over the last few centuries. It's beautiful, it's relaxed, great vineyards, wonderful craft breweries. Then we're on to Bustleton in Australia, known for its amazing stalagmites and stalactite caves. You've also got the Valley wineries right there as well to visit, and they are known, of course, for delicious wines in Oz. So if you love it, you'll enjoy that. Then we're on to Albany, and Albany is known for the Torrendip National Park. That's a native Australian name for it, which has lots of gorgeous wildlife. You'll see stunning beaches when you're there as well, and that perfect, ideal azure ocean. Then we're into Adelaide, known as the 20-minute city. Trams, you see Adelaide by tram. The Barossa Valley's not too far off. You have wonderful museums in Adelaide as well, a great market. It's just a perfectly complete city. Then we're on to Kangaroo Island. This is a wildlife reserve, very interesting. Of course, known for the kangaroos, but you will see, if you're lucky enough, incredible seals and maybe some of the other Australian natural wonders whilst you're in this wildlife reserve island. Melbourne's next, and I grew up here. Amazing city. You've got the brilliant Puffing Billy train to go and see up in the Dandenongs. That's a fun excursion to do. Or maybe just head to the town and see Federation Square and South Bank. We're into Burnie in Tasmania next. Tasmania has a lovely juxtapose from mainland Australia. It's very fresh and green. Many say it reminds them of the UK. You have lovely waterfalls. You've got lovely, beautiful mountains as well to take excursions to. Then it's Eden, and Eden is known for the Killer Whale Museum. This was an entry point for many colonials as they visited Australia, and the Ben Boyd Tower. So I'd suggest taking sort of a best-of tour, which takes you around the best that Eden has to offer. Now, we're going to disembark in Sydney, and we're going to have 2 nights to enjoy fabulous Sydney, which is, for many, the most familiar and exciting city to visit in Australia. Now, Sydney really is just incredibly beautiful. From the moment you sail in under the harbour bridge, which is an unforgettable moment. I mean, my goodness, film it, take all the selfies you could possibly imagine. You've got to do it. Through to strolling around the rocks, or maybe Taronga Zoo with some of the most amazing views. Maybe you're going to head out and enjoy the Hudson wines in, you know, different wine districts, or perhaps take in a show at the Royal Opera House. You'll have unforgettable memories of Sydney. It's just impossible not to love this city, I think.
Jo, just very quickly, because we come back from this trip on Christmas Eve, but December, of course, is not winter in Australia, is it?
No, you're in the height of summer.
So actually, there's merit to staying a couple of extra nights in Sydney.
Oh, absolutely. Or a week or two.
Well, why not? What, do they have Christmas dinner and stuff like that?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So in Australia, you can go to the beach on Christmas Day and you can eat your turkey on the beach. How fun is that? Or you can go to a restaurant. You don't have to go to the beach. But they go Christmas big in Australia.
Yeah, and Christmas in the sun as well.
Yeah.
Very nice. Because this package, as it is, you land on Christmas Eve. So, perfectly fine. You might want to be home in time to put your own turkey in your own oven at home, but I'm just exploring the possibilities. You could extend that stay in Sydney a little bit longer if you wanted to. So, end of November next year, 25 nights, as it is, the package. You'll flight from the UK out to Singapore, a couple of nights in a hotel there. 19 nights of all-inclusive cruising on Norwegian Spirit, taking you across Indonesia and around Australia to Sydney for a 2-night hotel stay there, and then the flight back to the UK to arrive back on Christmas Eve, which to me would feel like a little bit of an anticlimax after that holiday. So I might suggest to you staying a few extra nights in Sydney and covering Christmas that way. Whichever you decide. Price is there, $3,999 for the package as it is, or deposit today of just £199 each. And here's the upgrade prices for the cruise as well, to take you up to Ocean View or indeed up to the balcony. I'd definitely stay for a little bit longer.
Oh my
in
goodness.
Sydney, I think.
And there's so much more to see in Australia, of course, other than just the places you head to on the cruise. You could go up to Darwin, you could do Ayers Rock, you could do Catherine Falls or the Kimberley from there. You could even do another cruise to the Kimberley.
It's not just kangaroos, you know. There's lots more there. Did we call in at Melbourne at one point? Oh yes, we did, didn't we?
Just for the day though.
You can go to, can you go to, what is it called? Not Summer Bay, the other one. Ramsay Street, that's it.
You can do tours of Ramsay Street, yes.
So if you're a lifelong Neighbours fan, then you can actually go to Ramsay Street.
Yes, yeah.
Which I think would be a fun thing to do, wouldn't it? I know it's stereotypical. It's like throwing a shrimp on the barbie, isn't it? I know, but I think it would be quite nice to do.
I don't know if they still. I'm gonna have to look that up. I don't know if they still do tours there, but
I bet they do.
and you could probably do, to be honest, Summer Bay tour if you're in Sydney, because that's where Home and Away's filmed, isn't it? Just around the corner.
Oh, is it?
Just around the corner, mate.
Just around the corner.
But I mean, you'll fall in love with this part of the world. It's impossible not to. And that's what we were saying. You know, if you can tack a little extra time on, it would be a shame to leave after those 2 days at the end. And I really recommend doing that because you're in that. It's you know, it's a ways, isn't it? The flight's long.
Yeah. Or maybe do Christmas somewhere else on the way back.
Oh, yes.
Come back to Singapore. Do Christmas in Singapore. Do it in
Thailand.
Dubai.
Yeah.
You know, there's loads of different places we can do it to. And listen, the great thing is, we are a travel agent. Yes, we are Cruise1st. That's who we are. So we deal predominantly in cruise, but we can knit all the other areas of travel together for you and make the package that you want it to be. So if this, you know, this is a big one. Oh, actually, Singapore, New Year.
Oh,
I mean,
my gosh.
they go big style.
And so does Sydney. Oh,
How
my
long is this
goodness.
holiday going to be? Listen, we'll leave you to think about that one, and we'll be back with more fabulous ideas very soon.
Man, here you go.